Right, okay, I'm going to take my little basic sprite. So let's just have a look what we've got when I run this. And I'm just going to show you scaling and flashing effects. So it's just on the screen, we can move it around. But let's just have a look at a few things we can do to flash. So if we go to constructor and we turn on the timer system, so timer initialize, and then we can say timer dot, and then there are various flashing things we can do. So we can flash continuous, which is just like a press start type thing. You can flash something after a certain period of time. So I'll show you that one. But you just have to play with these to get the right effect. So if I say after 5 seconds start flashing, stay on the screen for half a second, off the screen for 3/10. Okay, so I run that. So flashing is actually quite simple. And you'll see that it's static. And then like 5 seconds later, about now, it should start flashing at the flash rate. Okay, but there's various ones. You can kill it after a certain amount of time as well. So you can like drop a pickup on the screen after so many seconds it starts flashing, and then after another certain period of time it can be destroyed. Okay, and goes bye-bye. So I'm just going to turn that off for now. So I'm just going to comment those lines out. So that's how you do the timer system. The timer system is more complicated than that, but that's just the basics of it. Now, if you want to mess with the scale, there are various things you can do. You can set it as a vector 2 value, and if you move your mouse over it, it'll tell you. So it says gets or sets the scale of the sprite. 1 is normal size. So if I do 0.5f, 0.5f, remember you put little f's because it's a floating point value, not a double. So if you run that, you'll see that it should be 50%. Okay, so it's smaller. You don't have to do it the same in both directions. So I could make it 3 times taller and half as wide. So that's the X and Y position, and you'll see the effect of that. So you can mess about. If you're only really just interested in changing the size and keeping the aspect the same, there's a short way of doing that. You can use scale both. So if I say scale both 3, F, that'll make it 300% original size. Okay. You'll see that it blurs up because it's using bilinear filtering. But you can change that, and I'll do another video where I mess about and change things like that. But you can also set a velocity. So you can say scale velocity. And that's a vector 2 value. So that's a constantly changing value. Oops, pressed the wrong key there. So if you move over the scale velocity again, it'll give you an indicator. Not is no scaling. So if I put a negative value, so let's put not that they're negative values, Eric. I know that, I'll put the minuses in. What it'll do is it'll shrink. But you have to be careful with shrinking because you'll get, which looks quite good. Okay, but at some point it'll go, the size of it will go negative, the widths and heights. It'll get there in a minute. I should have done it a bit quicker, but it's going 10%. It's knocking 10% off each frame. Oh, let me speed that up a little bit. So let's do it 50% per second. So it'll lose 50% of its size every second. That's how it works. So there you go. It's going to be quicker this time. And it gets to the point where there's nothing to see. Okay. If you want it to go positive, get bigger, so that'll increase in size by 50% every second. So that's how you interpret those numbers. As it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and you can see the blurring now. That's the limit box that kept it in the screen, which is quite amusing. Okay, so that's scaling and flashing. We can also make the sprite move around. So if we set a velocity, so velocity.x equals 100, and you'll see what happens there. So you've got a y and x plus, so it moves. Obviously, it's going to stop because we've got the limit box, but we can change the limit box and put wrap. So if you put wrap, you'll see what the effect of that is. So it wraps within the viewport. So as it goes off the right hand side, it should come on the left hand side. You can do bounce. Let's set y velocity as well. So you can set velocity dot y equals minus 200. So that'll be up the screen. And obviously I've still got a key control of this, so I could actually hijack the velocity, but the velocity is still active. And you'll see it bounces within the viewport. Okay, so that's just a few more silly little effects. And obviously you can combine all these. You can have it flashing. You could have it scaling at the same time. It's up to you. Okay.